future. But he did, and I think he lasted about a week and a half.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your West Ham Daily, and again, a very entertaining past 24 hours, really, in the West Ham world. I mean, it doesn't really end. It never ends. It's just pretty relentless right now. I came on last night, as you probably would have seen, with a live show talking about a bid that was made from West Ham for Conor Gallagher of Chelsea. We were led to believe that bid was £37 million plus add-ons, which would have taken the deal to £40 million to bring the England midfielder to West Ham. We're led to believe that that also was rejected from one source, Jacob Steinberg. And the other source that also reported on the story was Fabrizio Romano, who declined this the option, which said that Chelsea actually responded to West Ham. Now, other reports came out after I went off the show saying that there was another bid gone in, and the bid was totaling £47 million. Now, Steinberg has come out and said that is just completely untrue. West Ham are not going to go above what they believe the player is valued at. Now, he has surplus to requirements at Chelsea, so that means then, they know that other clubs are interested, not just West Ham, so they're quite happily going to look for this bidding war to take place, and West Ham are not going to enter that world. But equally, though, West Ham are 3 weeks away from the Premier League starting, and we haven't replaced anyone really in our midfield. We need recruits, we need fresh faces, and we haven't done it yet, which is the ridiculous thing. Now, at some point later on tonight, I will give you a bit of a rundown on the situation above the players' heads. So I'll talk about Steinberg, I'll talk about I'll talk about Steiden, Moyes and Noble, and the situation at West Ham. But right now, it is about the verbal offers, because apparently we're fucking verbal offers for upwards of 7 players. And I think the whole idea is that they're trying to think that maybe, if they've identified 7 players and they put all these verbal offers in, that they've got a good chance of getting 2 of their targets. But this doesn't seem to be working in our favour. This does not seem to be working well in our favour at all. In actual fact, it comes across a little bit embarrassing. And I'm always mindful of the fact of what we report. I'm always mindful of the fact of what information we're given. So everything we're telling you now is according to, when you do your little bit of due diligence online and try and work out exactly what is going on. But, listen, on top of that, in addition to Conor Gallagher, apparently we've put in a verbal offer for James Ward-Prowse. Now, we are searching for reinforcements in the midfield, but that doesn't mean we just go gung-ho and go for everyone that is in that position. But apparently, within hours of finding out that we had bid for Conor Gallagher verbally, it's a case of that we've also apparently lowballed the offer for James Ward-Prowse. And he is, of course, a captain of Southampton, and they've been, relegated. So he will and has been tipped to leave the club. And there's been a lot of rumours saying that he is willing to come to West Ham. And if he wants to remain in any form of contention to get an England place for the England squad, he's going to have to make the move back to the Premier League. But apparently West Ham are looking at a verbal offer of £25 million on the table, and no one's clear yet whether the bid has been accepted or rejected from Southampton. And he is still under contract for another 3 seasons, but their return to the Championship may be a big struggle for him in terms of staying at the club. And we do know that David Moyes is a big fan of James Ward-Prowse, and he believes that he could offer that variety in the midfield as well. Now, the problem you've got with someone like James Ward-Prowse, and I think we have to be mindful of a couple of points I'm about to make here, is that we're always looking at, it seems to be players within their 28, 29-year-old bracket. So you've got James Ward-Prowse, who's at the later end of his 20s, in comparison to Conor Gallagher, who's in the middle 20s, and the same as Scott McTominay. So, but that doesn't mean that we don't make a move for the player. I know people keep talking about the sell-on value, but if you are bringing in a lot of youth, but you need a little bit of experience with that, and if James Ward-Prowse is the right person to add that experience and the leadership qualities, then so be it. The issue I've got with it is, why is it taking so long? I don't understand why it's taken so long when we've had such a, easy route for players that are heading out. We've known for a long time what players are heading out of the club, and we should have done our due diligence well beforehand. And I don't like the idea of the fact that West Ham are verbally offering up to 7 players a chance to come to the club. That for me is a ridiculous stat in the aim that hopefully one or two would come. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. But what does this mean, though, for West Ham's midfield if you bring in someone like James Ward-Prowse and Conor Gallagher and add that to Tommy Soucek and Paqueta? I mean, I'm not trying to say that we should be running the team around the one. Well, in actual fact, you should build the team around a player, a couple of players, and Paqueta is one of those players you need to be building around. And that's why I don't know, because the next player I'm going to talk to you about is Scott McTominay, because apparently, again, also we've put in a verbal offer for Scott McTominay. Now, when I look at the Scott McTominay situation, I think, yeah, I can see that. Like, he's played at the highest level. He's played a lot of European football. He's played a lot of Premier League football. So it's fine that we say, let's go and target players from abroad. But when you look at the attributes and everything and the history of what Scott McTominay has brought, plus the fact that he's on some of the best form of his life for his international side in Scotland, then maybe there is something to really, really look at. But I can't help but feel like McTominay was going to go to Newcastle. They're going to swoop in once they make the sale of, I think, St. Maximum's gone, and they'll get the money in, and they'll probably end up making a move for Scott McTominay, and he'll rejuvenate their midfield. He's got the Premier League experience. He's played there for several years. He's still young enough. He's got leadership abilities. He likes to get forward, and he can score goals. He's one that ticks the box for me even more than maybe Paulinho, all that sort of stuff. He needs a team with a manager and a coach and a system that can wrap your arm around them. And I get that if Stidham wants to go and look at the young prospects around the world, around the globe, and bring them in and fit into the system, that's fine. And I don't mind that. And I think that's really good. But I think you need to balance that well with players that can, work well. So I don't buy this whole let's not buy a Premier League player because of their age and also the over expenditure and cost and price of what they are. We have set the tone. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is from that deal we went through with Arsenal. So players are going to look at that deal and go, well, we value our player at a higher rate. The query I've got is if you buy two of the three players I've mentioned, you're looking potentially of spending upwards of £80 million in the market. But they are for potentially two transferable players. So what I would accept, this is what I would accept with this situation. I would accept one of these players and kind of not unheard of European player, but a player that's not got the Premier League experience, because for, say, a McTominay and a Zakaria, then you are looking at probably a collective amount of £50 million. But for a McTominay and a Gallagher, you are looking for about £80-90 million. And if you're looking at McTominay and James Ward-Prowse, you're looking £70 million. I'd possibly accept that, because in actual fact, you still have £30-40 million to spend in the market, and that is rejuvenating our midfield to a certain extent. But people, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Tommy Soucek ain't going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. So we need to park the idea that Tommy Soucek is going this season. He is staying around at West Ham. He's got the experience in the middle of the park. And there may be an element of how he can come into his game a bit more now that Declan Rice is gone. That might change. And I'm not just trying to say that Declan Rice has held players back, but when you're such a good player and you feed the ball through to your best player all the time, then you become redundant as such. But now you've got a new flamboyancy to come out there and actually progress and be the player that you came into West Ham and were, and shown us what you're capable of doing. But I genuinely believe when it comes to the arrangement of what's going on above us in terms of the who's running the show in terms of bringing the players in, I think there's an element of I believe that both ways matter. I do. I don't think you just go out and bring in inexperienced players and add them to the current squad. I think you need someone who is current in the Premier League. I do. And for that, you're going to have to pay over the odds. That's just the nature of the world, the nature of the beast that we're in. And that's why I think, maybe the more I'm looking at it, I love Conor Gallagher. I think he'd be a really good addition to West Ham. He was my number one choice. But the more I look at it, I'm like, Scott McTominay's the one for me. Like, we need to bring him in no matter what. Bring Scott McTominay into the club and build the team in around Scott McTominay and Paqueta in the middle of the park. If you need to bring someone else in, so be it, that's fine. But you need that real strong experience. He's young, he's youthful, and like I said, he likes to get forward and score a goal. What do you think? Put it in the comments and let me know your thoughts. But As things stands, we're understanding that there are 3 verbal offers. Actually, that's a lie. There are upwards of 7 verbal offers in for 7 separate players. I don't know if that's the exact number, but we're particularly talking about 3 players that we found out last night: Mctominay, James Ward-Prowse, and Conor Gallagher. All verbal offers have gone in. We believe some have been rejected. In particular, with Chelsea, they want more money. They're expecting upwards of 50 million quid. I did a show last night on Conor Gallagher. I told you what I believed he could bring to the club. And I think we all know what each individual player can bring to the club. What you've got with James Ward-Prowse is a captain and leader, someone that scores goals and assists goals and is a set-piece king. There you go. It's as simple as that. But he's coming up to his 30s. Scott McTominay, European experience, a Declan Rice-ish replacement, but can get forward and score goals and is on the form of his life for his country as well. So you know what you're getting with him. He's got the bite to determination in the middle of the park. And then you've got Conor Gallagher, who's got a bit of everything about him, to be honest. And he's really young and he's really enthusiastic. And he's just been unlucky in his performances because he's not been getting really solid runouts for his club. And really the best memories we've got of Conor Gallagher have been during his loan spells with Crystal Palace and West Brom, where he really tore them to shreds. He tore those loan spells to shreds. He was fantastic. He was great. He was phenomenal. And if we can get that best form, then that's exciting. But when it comes to the 3 players, they all have separate qualities that really would add to West Ham. Who do you want West Ham to get from those particular 3 players? Who would you be happy with, or who would you not be happy with? Please leave it in the comments below. But it's going to be an exciting couple of hours probably, because I expect, listen, I said this last week, we're on Tuesday. I expect movement last week. We never got it. I expect movement this week. It has to happen this week because we need players. The importance of bedding a player into the system, into the team, into the setup, and to get familiarize himself with people, that's key. That's huge. That's important. And I really expect that stuff to be done as soon as possible. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Why not support the channel? Hit that button now. We're on the march towards 30,000 subscribers. Hit the bell notification. That will notify you when our shows do go live. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on what I've said as well. So much going on. Join us for the Hammers headlines later on, and any breaking news, we will bring it to you. Take it easy. And of course, come on, you Irons.